A-okay. All right, I remembered to record. I think that might be the second hardest part of this role. I am going to be your SSA today. It's been maybe a year since I've done this role, so bear with me and we'll make it happen. Today, our theme is 2022 goals. I'm really excited to hear what everyone's goals are and more about this topic. And I think I have to turn it over to myself because I'm also filling in for Erica today, right? Yep, I'm next. All right, so my best Erica hat, hold on. Oh, I don't have a hat next to me. Just read the email she sent. It had all the announcements in it, but I think the biggest changes for us all to be aware of is we did change the agenda times a little bit because one, we all love the Q&A session, so we want to give more time for Q&A after each speech. And also the evaluations, we extended that time a little bit because in the competitions, they actually go up to 3.5 minutes. So to actually practice what 3.5 minutes looks like. So we did fit some more time in there. Where the time came back from is my VPE role at the end. So that's going to be even shorter and briefer from that. But I think we've been doing okay with the meeting role. So I'm feeling confident in it. The other thing I just want to make sure everyone's aware of is that we are going to skip the January 2nd meeting. So there will be no meeting on January 2nd, and our next meeting will be January 16th. So with that being said, also with my VPE hat on, I'm not going to tell you the meeting roles today because it's like a month away and we'll just wait till after the new year. So with that, I'm going to introduce our Toastmaster today, who is also our SSA, but she's getting to be able to reach out to some of these other roles in our club, which is exciting to see. So Shruti, you want to take us away and lead us on your fun journey that you got for us today?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you so much. Um, Fellow Toastmasters and guests, it's my privilege to welcome you today to introduce our theme of the day for the last meeting of the year, 2022 goals. Goal is an idea of the future that is fueled by three key factors: vision, plan, and a finite time to be achieved in. I would love to be back in shape whenever, said nobody ever. New beginnings, like a new year, provides us with an opportunity to do new things, redo failures done in the past, basically have a clean slate to start with. You, your product, your career, your relationships. Everything can have goals. Studies say more than half of all adults define goals for themselves during the new year. Do you want to guess who many keep up? It's only 10% manage to keep an eye on them for the first few months. Key to setting appropriate goals: galvanizing people or your team around these goals, not losing momentum, is to have SMART goals. Not AI driven, Alexa kind smart, where your goals adjust based on your moods. Goals should be specific, measurable, agreed upon, realistic, and time bound. With these thoughts, let's dive into our meeting and learn, understand more from our interactions on the theme 2022 goals. For the next portion of the day, I would like to explain the structure of the meeting. You can find the agenda in the calendar invite. The meeting is divided into three sections. The first is the prepared speech round, where members would be delivering speeches. Today we have Ashley Lawson, Anvesha Ghosh presenting their speeches, with Jyothi Raj delivering her icebreaker speech today. The second part of the session is the table topics round, where we can practice impromptu speaking. Marguerite Ousley is reading this round, and no one knows what the table topics questions would be, so thus keeping us on the key vibe. The third and the final round is the evaluation round, in which all the prepared speeches would be evaluated by the general evaluator and her team. Our general evaluator for the day is Minal Patel and would be supported by Olena Krotenko, Amulya Kandikonda, and Sarah Gagnon. sorry, I'm sorry if I messed up your name, as the speech evaluators. Um, so before we bring up our esteemed speakers of the day, we have a tradition of sharing a word of the day. I would like to introduce Lori, who would share today's word of the day. Lori is a senior product manager at niche.com, the co-founder and VP of our club, and a mentor in the Career Climb Network. Furthermore, she has two dogs, Rainer and Ellie, who may make a special appearance today. Lori, please take it away.
Thank you, Shruti. So our word of today is zealous. So Zealous. And it means to be filled with or inspired by intense enthusiasm. So the way you can use this in a sentence today is Lori was zealous for her 2022 goals. Or the family was very zealous about celebrating the holidays this year. So the word of the day is zealous, and I will put that in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Let's try our best to use the word of a day in our conversations today. Now, I would like to introduce our general evaluator, Minal Patel. Minal is a research and development engineer working her way to transitioning to product management. She has been very grateful for her journey so far as a fellow Toastmaster in the Women in Product Club. She hopes to provide valuable feedback today to the team as general evaluator. Madam General Evaluator, please go ahead and introduce your evaluation team.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a general evaluator, my role today is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. During the meeting, I will take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen. I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. At the end of the meeting, I'll give my report alongside my evaluation team. Today we have a seasoned team of evaluators which includes our speech evaluators, as Madam Toastmaster mentioned. This includes Elena, Amulia, and Sarah, I believe, yes. And then the evaluation team also includes our grammarian, a counter, a timer, and a vote counter, and the table topics master, I believe is, well, no, just the vote counter. I'm sorry about that. And as we have heard from our table topics, wait, have you heard? Sorry, no, okay. So first I'd like to introduce our all counter, who will be Shirsha. Is she here today?
Yeah, Madam General Evaluator, we would be skipping that role for today.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for that. So I would next like to introduce our timer, who will be Tanya. Tanya, can you please explain what the role of a timer is?
Sure, I'm the timer and also the vote counter today. I will be timing the speeches, the evaluations, the Q&A, as well as the table topics. So depending on the standard, or if it's a standard or an icebreaker speech, standard speech is 5 to 7 minutes, icebreakers 4 to 6. Our evaluations will be up to 3.5 minutes. Our Q&A will be up to 2.5 minutes, and our table topics, the person who is answering has up to 1 to 2 minutes to answer that. So I will be keeping track of those. A green will go up about a minute before, or a minute to 2 minutes, depending on the length of the speech. A yellow will go up to give you a little bit of warning that you have about a minute left, and then a red will go when you are at your time limit and you're going over. And then on the vote counter side, this is counting the votes for the table topics round. So after all the table topics is finished, we will you will send via chat to me who your vote is for the winner of the table topics for today, and I will tally those, and at the end I will provide you with my not my vote, but the group's vote. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Tanya. And as Tanya mentioned, she'll be the vote counter for the table topics round. And so with that, I would like to introduce our table topics master, Marguerite Ausley. So Marguerite, could you please tell us about your role?
Sure. So table topics are a way for us to challenge us to improve our impromptu speaking skills. I will I'll pose a question and then select someone at random, and they'll have so they have the opportunity to provide a structured answer on the spot. And as you mentioned before, Tanya will also be everyone will have a chance to vote on their favorite table topics response, and Tanya will be collecting those votes.
Thank you for that introduction. And last but not least, I know, Lori, you mentioned the word of the day. Did you want to give an introduction about the grammarian role in general too, or?
Yeah, I can do that. So as the grammarian, I will be looking for improper or proper uses of grammar, as well as vocabulary and any statements that stick out to me. And then I will also give my report at the end of all the speeches. Back to you, Madam Evaluator.
Thank you for that. And once again, I'm very super excited for our evaluation team today. And with that, I'd like to pass it back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. This is amazing. And I'm so excited to start our prepared speech section right now. Without further ado, our first speaker today would be Ashley Lawson. Ashley Lawson is a digital process owner with Keller Williams based in Austin, Texas. She works with cross-functional teams to identify and implement new product features and enhancements that enable real estate agents to improve their day-to-day business practices. Outside of work, she enjoys reading, learning to code, baking, and coffee. The title of her speech is Ego Biscuits, Celebrate Your Wins. Take it away, Ashley. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys today to talk about Ego Biscuits and celebrating your wins. So please bear with me a moment here while I get this going. Real quick, can you guys just give me a thumbs up? Make sure you can see my screen. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So Ego Biscuits, we are going to talk about celebrating your wins as we are appropriately talking about setting goals for 2022, which is insane to even say now vocally. So back in 2018, I had decided I was going to run a 10K, and I'm actually going to use that experience to talk about goal setting today. So the whole purpose is just to get a little refresher on what it's like to go ahead and set those goals. And it won't be super, super heavy like a SMART goal, but thankfully our Toastmaster had already given us a lovely update on a SMART goal. We're going to talk about planning, we'll touch on tracking and then checking in. And if we have some time, we'll go ahead and wrap up. And since we do have an extended Q&A period, I'm actually going to toss up some resources for you guys to have a look at while we go over some Q&A. All right, it's 2018. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and run a 10K. Absolutely insane because my body was not in shape. But I had set this overall goal for myself to go ahead and have better health, but I didn't really understand the full meaning or intent behind setting such a lofty goal. In doing that, I had come to realize that a 10K was actually perfect because it would get me outside. I would actually go out and see things in my environment that I hadn't because I'm physically running to things and looping around. But I also had this foundation that had boundaries set up for me so that I could really focus and have that discipline to achieve that goal. After I had defined my goal and really got down to the purpose, that actually fed into the overall motivation of why I was running. And it was just covering that big overarching goal of having better health. Thankfully, because it's 2021 and we are super advanced, we do have access to a lot of apps that are available out there. So I actually leveraged using a running app. And in doing that, it enabled me to go ahead and track those key performance indicators. In this particular instance, I was wanting to have a time within an hour and a half. I also wanted to drop some weight as well because that would help with my overall time. And of course, I wanted to run a full 10K, which was 6.21 miles. By having all of this information input into a running app, it provided me with an opportunity to look at my progress over time. But it was incredibly helpful to plug in those KPIs that I had just spoke about and have a regurgitated plan. So I didn't have to do a lot of thinking, which was amazing. However, it made it less stressful because I freaked out when I first said, okay, I'm going to run a 10K, but how do I do it? Now I have a plan, and thankfully there are steps along the way. So I could see the overall end goal of achieving that 10K, but I could break it down to even months. So I could look at every month and see how many miles I'm actually supposed to be running. I could drill down even further and start looking at a week of how many miles I need to run in a week, and then take it one step further by breaking it down even smaller into how many miles I'm supposed to be running a day. However, I'm the kind of person that I need something to motivate me as I'm doing this. Otherwise, I'm just going to fall off the bandwagon and roll into a ditch and stay there for a little bit. So it was very important to go ahead and embed milestones. So whenever I would get to a range within that milestone of maybe I've reached 3 miles and I'm not dying at the end. Awesome. I'm on track. I don't feel terrible. It's at the end of the month. I'm in that range that I want to be in. I'm going to reward myself. I need a little dopamine kick just to give myself the happy feel good, but also it was my cheat day too. So I was eating things I shouldn't have been because I had to change my diet to be restrictive and stay on track. And that was a part of my overall goal of having better health. But because I embedded these milestones, it kept me focused, and it also gave me something to look forward to each time I would hit that milestone. Another important part was taking time to check in. I felt like it was important to review and reflect where I was in all of those metrics that I had created. And it was nice to take a moment and really make those fine-tune adjustments, but also giving myself permission to make those adjustments and reminding myself, give a little grace as I'm going through this process. And in the words of my mother, often she would say, this too shall pass, especially when it came up to those challenges where I didn't want to get up and go run on the weekend, or I'm incredibly sore and feel like I just can't move. Of course, I'm hearing my mom in my head, this too shall pass. And finding that motivation to keep moving forward, but also giving myself enough grace to realize that it's okay to make that adjustment. I can't control the weather, but I can wait until it's much nicer outside for me to go run. I can go on the treadmill, or I can just simply adjust that schedule to make sure I try and still make progress towards my overall goal. So I did finish that 10K in 2018. I actually did it in a much better time. My original goal was just finishing within an hour and a half. I finished in an hour and 18 minutes. But it was very integral for me to really think about the purpose behind this goal and why I wanted to accomplish it, but also breaking it down into smaller bites so that I could actually measure it out by using KPIs. And also, it's very important to check in throughout the entire process just to make sure that I was doing okay. I wasn't putting my body in any kind of harm, and also allowing myself to rest and recharge between those weeks of running and training, but also giving myself that grace to make those adjustments if things weren't working out or going to plan to a T. Thank you guys so much for your time and listening to me talk about goals from 2018. but it's also really applicable going forward. And right now you should be seeing some resources on the screen that I had actually used, and I hope those are going to be helpful for you guys as you go through your goal planning in 2022.
Thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful. You have inspired me a lot right now. Can I go ahead and ask our timer to put 2.5 minutes on the clock, and we'll open this floor for Q&A for Ashley.
I have a question for Ashley. You didn't have enough time to touch on all the resources and books that you've used to prepare the speech. Which one is your favorite and why, if you were to recommend somewhere to start with goal setting?
That is a wonderful question. And out of the resources there, I probably leveraged and used the most is Fantastical, I'm sorry. But basically, it is a tool that is integrated into your pretty much native device. So if you use calendars, your calendar as a way to keep track, for me, sometimes I digitally go in and write on paper what I'm going to be doing for the month, make sure it gets put in my calendar as either a calendar event or a to-do task, and then that gets fed into Fantastical, which helps you go through and gives you the reminders and everything else. But I can also put in multiple calendars and reminder lists if I would like to, in terms of tracking my goals overall.
Thank you. I hope you can share the slide with us later so we can have another peek.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that with everyone.
I got a question for you too, Ashley. You mentioned checking in. This is Lori. Probably can't see me. I can't pin myself. You mentioned checking in. I was just curious, how often do you check in with yourself and reevaluate if you're on track with your goal?
It depends on the situation. If I am, let's not use the running example, but outside of running, if I do have a separate goal, I do like to do a weekly check-in. It's just easier because I'm already in the middle of something else or working on something, and I will take the time and go ahead and just do a little check-in there. But at the end of the month, I do like going back and seeing all of the data that I've collected and just seeing where I'm being successful, where I'm kind of lagging, and making adjustments after at least I have 1 month of data to refer to.
Hey Ashley, this is Jyothi here. Since you met your goal of doing a 10K, do you plan to do a half marathon or a marathon in future? What's your future goal?
Absolutely not. I know my limits, and that is a touch too far for me. But who knows, maybe when I run a couple more 10Ks, I might feel encouraged enough and feel good enough to be like, okay, let's move forward and try a longer half marathon and see how we do with that.
Thank you everyone for your questions. This was really interactive. Thank you. Moving on to our next speaker, Jyothi Raj. So give it up to Jyothi for her first icebreaker speech. Jyothi is a product manager in the exciting payment space and enjoys hiking, reading, and playing with her 5-year-old son in her spare time. The title of her speech is My Goal for 2022. With that, I invite Jyothi to take the stage. Good luck.
Thank you, Shruti. Do you know that more than 90% of people give up on their New Year goals before March of that year? How amazing would it be if we can achieve all or even 90% of the goals we set for ourselves every year? How can we set goals that are meaningful and fulfill them successfully? Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Jyothi and I want to share a new goal that I have, how it took shape and my plans for it in 2022. December 12, 2019, pre-COVID. I parked my car and walked as fast as I could to my office that is 2 blocks away in downtown Houston. I was thinking about the prep I need to do and mails that I have to send before my meeting at 8:30 a.m. As I made my way to the elevators, I realized that there were many people waiting. I noticed people taking the stairs after waiting for a few minutes. After a little more wait, I headed towards the stairs with a heavy tote on my shoulder that had my laptop, a couple of books, and a lunch bag in the other hand. My office is on the 8th floor and the steps are steep. After reaching the 4th floor, I started breathing faster and my steps became slower. Not to block others, I stepped to the side after 6th floor and fiddled with my bag for a few minutes, pretending to look for something. I noticed that others were climbing the steps effortlessly and some were even running. They all seemed to be as old as me or much older. That's the moment when I realized that I should get a lot fitter than I was. For many years, my goal setting was limited to my professional life, hobbies, and travel. In 2019, I added a new goal to my list, health and fitness, as you have guessed by now. I joined my friend who was training for a half marathon and did a 10K. I did yoga and went to gym at least twice a week. I started enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, even when the small changes I made. When the pandemic hit and all of us went remote in 2020, all the enthusiasm I had for my newfound goal lost steam. And I went back to my sedentary lifestyle. How difficult can it be to eat right and exercise? Not so easy, I would say, especially when you have access to the kitchen, pantry, and TV 24/7 and you're just sitting at home all year long. What am I doing differently this time around to get back on track for 2022? Instead of making health a vague goal, I penned down my reasons to be healthy and stay motivated. Staying active, playing, and hiking with my 6-year-old son is at the top of my list. Instead of having a fixed goal, a goal like a 10K, this time around, I created both short-term and long-term health goals for continuous improvement. I also broke down my goals into smart micro goals that I can measure and help me to stay on track. As we all know as product managers, and as Shruti and many of them have already mentioned, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And finally, I shared my goals with my family and friends who can hold me accountable. Do you know this is also the most common goal that every one of us have, irrespective of the age, wherever we live in the world? I want to share a quote that I came across a few years ago and only now realize how true it is. When people are young, they have a lot of time and energy, but no money. When they start working, they have a lot of energy and money, but no time. When they grow old, they have both money and time, but no energy. Take a moment to think about it. 20, 30 years from now, picture yourself vacationing at a beautiful location, surrounded by family and friends. The only thing that can hold us back from having a great time is good health. If we want to enjoy all that we worked hard for in our entire life, we have to stay healthy. It's not a choice. As we all look forward to 2022 and plan to start the year on a right note, G-lessly, I encourage you all to make health as one of your goals. Health, both physical and mental, dictate the quality of our life and enable us to accomplish any other goals we set for ourselves. Hope you all have a healthy, happy, and a successful new year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyothi. That was an amazing speech. Can I ask the timer to put on 2.5 minutes on the clock? Thank you. And we open this floor again for any questions for Jyothi.
I'll ask one again. So Jyothi, I'm curious how you, this is Lori, by the way, probably can't see me yet. I'm curious how you were able to switch your mindset to make your goals achieve, like reset your mind to try to achieve this same goal over again this next year.
Thank you, Lori, for the question. So the reset, I think the goal is always the same, health and fitness, but how I broke it down and my strategy towards it changed. Before, it's like a one-time, a destination, like a 10K or a 5K. This time, I would like to change my lifestyle and make it more healthy, and also focus on continuous improvements, not just fitness, but sleep, my eating habits, my regular health, basically everything. So I took a holistic view. And maybe the other thing I have done is, instead of thinking I should be fit, I wrote down the reasons why I want to be fit, like being active or seeing myself physically active even after 20 years down the line to keep myself motivated. So my strategy is different, though the end goal is the same.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much, Jyothi, for your icebreaker speech. Moving on to the final speech of our prepared speech round. We have our very own VP of Public Relations, Anvesha Ghosh, who would be who would be a third speaker. Anvesha is a product manager by occupation. Anvesha loves to read and learn about what's latest and greatest out there. Her current interest is around Web 3.0 and its promise to change the way we do things online. Today, she will be talking about her 2021 goal to overcome her cell phone addiction. The title of her speech is How I Overcame My Cell Phone Addiction. With that, I invite Anvesha to take the stage. Good luck.
Sorry about that. Is it my turn? Clearly, this goal didn't work out for me yet. I have gone through this entire cycle of setting goals all through many, many years now. Every time, and I'm guessing this is common between all people, every time December is the month that I get very zealous. I decide that I have all these different goals that I want to achieve. And then January comes up and I actively try to take steps. Whether it's like trying to exercise every morning, I would wake up and start running, or at least attempt to, as much as my poor health would allow me for, etc., etc. But then by the time February rolls around, I seem to lose steam. And I'm guessing this may be common for, as somebody quoted, 90% of the people who are trying to set goals. So I started thinking about what could I do that I could learn from being a product manager. And then I remembered, just like in any development project, any long time period, like a 1 year, is uncertain. We don't have any control. Well, we luckily have frameworks, agile frameworks that fit into that. And I thought of Scrum. I am CSPO certified, so I tried to think about how I could build in that structure into my approach, into setting goals and trying to achieve them. And this is what I tried out that I would like to share with you. So first things first, sprint 0. I have to take my goals and try and break them down so that it's much easier to achieve, right? Goals are these future states or ideal future states that we are trying to achieve. And if we could break them down into habits, which could be the stepping stones of how to get there, things might be much, much easier. And that's where, of course, somebody mentioned smart goals help. Similarly, smart habits help. Everything that is achievable, smart, measurable, etc. Right? And that's where I'm going to take the example of my cell phone. I got hooked onto this habit. What if I could apply the same concepts within this, right? Habits are typically around some sort of a cue, a craving, then a response and a reward. What if I could basically take all my good habits and turn them into these kinds of responses and work on them? So I'll give you an example on how I'm trying to work this out in my timing in terms of cutting down cell phone. So around 10 o'clock at night, I have fixed Alexa so that she starts playing meditation music. That's when I know I have to switch on my diffuser. And the reward that I get for keeping my cell phone away is this amazing Zen-like feeling right before bedtime. That's the habit that I'm trying to set. And it's worked out, at least to shave out cell phone usage before bedtime. Second, prioritize. You gotta have the big wins that need the least effort. And I'm trying to prioritize those ahead so that I get that extra momentum so that I can go behind the bigger goals and bigger habits that are tougher to set. Third, time boxing. I think somebody mentioned, Jyothi mentioned, or was it the speaker before me that mentioned that her time boxing for habits work out for 1 week? Works out for me as well. It's easier to take care of that 1 week rather than wonder about the entire 1 year. I can basically take in all the Scrum related events and fit it around it, right? I can have a planning session the Sunday before the week starts. I know what I'm trying to achieve. And I try to visualize it, which is basically my fourth point. I don't have the background switched on, but there are stickies behind me. They show me all the time that this is what I'm trying to achieve. I have alerts set on my cell phone, and I mentioned about Alexa. So more visualization of where I stand. And I try to take at least 10 minutes a day to basically think about kind of like a stand-up. What did I do? What do I need to do tomorrow? Are there any obstacles that I can take care of? And then basically at the end of the week, again, typically it's Sunday, a few more minutes before, I try to hold a retrospective. I try to think about what exactly worked out for me. And that's where celebration comes in. Some sort of achievement celebration to know that I'm making that progress. Think about the obstacles that I faced and think about the strategy changes that I have. And that fits in very well with the PDCA cycle that we are basically taught, which is plan, do, check, and act. And ultimately, weeks climb to months, months climb to year, and through that, we basically achieve things. Now, when it comes to the goal that I set according to the title, I may have only partially reached like 1 or 2 habits, but I can tell you that I applied this PDCA cycle in terms of my own learning. And I'm happy to say that I wanted to learn more about cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And today I started volunteering for one of the DAOs for Web3 technologies by applying this particular principle. So, and last bit, any sprint goal fails without a vision. So unless you're really wanting to do this, it's not going to work out. So remember to have that vision and go after it. I know it sounds like exactly what the other speakers spoke about, but here's a framework to help you. Hopefully this helps your planning this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Anvesha, for the wonderful speech and for sharing the zealous planning that you did using Scrum principles. Can I ask our timer to put 2.5 minutes on the clock, and we'll again open this floor for questions.
I have a question. So in your retrospective, you talked about the things that went well. What would be one thing that didn't go so well that you need to focus a little more on?
So one of the habits that I was working on was basically the bedtime, going to bed early. My biggest, the thing that needed the most work over the sprints was basically falling asleep. I would just sit there with my eyes open for an hour. And what happened was I was trying to jump up too far. So I was trying to cover up for a couple of hours ahead. What I realized is I had to bring in the window such that instead of tackling 2 hours together, can I bring it to incremental 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour that I can save. So that helped me adjust. I'm not perfect. And now I'll say my bedtime is around 10:30, 10:45 instead of the ideal 10 o'clock. But I try.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
I'll ask another question too. I loved your idea that your Alexa just automatically comes on and starts playing meditation music. That's like simple but mind-blowing to me. I'm like, oh, why did I never think of that? I'm just curious, how did you come up with that? Like, how did you brainstorm that idea? It's so intriguing to me.
So part of it is because I found this new app called Cult Fitness. Rather, it's an old app, but they added a habit setting thing. And I was just going through their ideas. And what I realized was Alexa has this thing where it's not just time-based alerts, but you can do like, after this, do this sort of a thing. So for me, it helped that, I have a habit of just asking Alexa to switch off my light at a particular time. So when the light goes off, that kicks off the next event, which is meditation music. So I don't have to think about it. It's automated.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for making this so interactive, even though we have such a small group today. So moving on to our second round of today's meeting, which is our table topics round. That will be hosted by Marguerite Ousley. Marguerite is an experienced product manager trying to put something positive into the world with her work. She's currently developing wellness experiences for women at Nike's new business incubator. She also helps Black people move into and succeed in product management as a committee chair for the Black Product Managers Network. With that, I invite Marguerite to take the stage.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So for today's table topics, I kind of was going back and forth between two different approaches. So during our last club meeting for the 1-year anniversary of the club, everyone shared the wins they've achieved so far with the club. And I thought a similar approach for today's topic would make sense, where we go around and everyone shares our goals for 2022, why we want to achieve those goals and how we're going to go about it. That said, if you are uncomfortable sharing your goals, I do have backup questions. So I'll call on folks, and because we all, are a small group and everyone has roles, I'll do my best to focus on the folks who have less sort of persistent activity throughout the meeting. And I'll start with Sarah. Can you tell me about a personal or professional goal you have for 2022 and why it's important and how you plan to achieve it?
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and any honored guests. That is a fantastic question. And to be honest, I haven't had a lot of time to think about my goals for 2022 personally. I do have a slate of them for professional wise at work, but I'd like to focus more in this particular presentation or this particular Toastmasters to my personal one. Today, I actually participated in my first at-home Tai Chi type of training. It was done virtually. I haven't taken Tai Chi in quite a number of years, so it took some time to try to get back into the swing of it. And it was only a 30-minute presentation. However, just that 30 minutes, very similar to our speaker who did the icebreaker today, where she realized that she was out of shape. I'm realizing that I need to get back into some low impact type exercise in order to become a better human and also to be able to put my best self out there at work. And I think that Tai Chi for the moment, for probably in the next 3 months, would be something that I could incorporate over like a 5-minute period during my morning hours. And that would provide extreme benefit to me. Not only physically, but also mentally. So that is, Tai Chi is something that I would like to and plan on incorporating over the next 3 to 6 months. And who knows, maybe it'll even progress to 9 months or 12 months. I just have to focus quarterly at this point, as opposed to an entire year out. But those are my plans. Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Sarah. That's cool. Tai Chi. I've never tried it. I might give it a try and ask for some tips from you. All right. So again, same question, but if you prefer a different question, let me know. What professional or personal goals do you plan to work on in 2022? Why did you choose that goal? And how do you plan to achieve it? I'll ask Lori. Can you?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. A goal that I am continuing into 2022, I started working on earlier this year, is creating more content. So the reason why I want to achieve this is in actually a coaching thing that Marguerite and I did together. I realized after doing some of it that I actually do have some unique experiences in my product management career. And there's things that I know that I guess I didn't realize I knew. So I want to help get that out to the world and share it with other product managers and other people that might be aspiring to become product managers. So my goal is to create some new content in 2022. And a stretch goal of that is kind of making it written content, which in all honesty, I failed English multiple times in my education career. So writing is not my strong suit. So that's kind of why I'm pushing myself to do that in 2022. So we'll see how it goes. I'll share it with you all if I get there. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master. Oh, and there's the dogs joining us just on cue.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I recommend following, if you're not already, or sorry, thank you, Lori. I recommend following Lori on LinkedIn if you aren't already. So again, for the question about your 2022 goal, Olena, can you share?
Sure, it's so interesting because my goal is to start using Scrum for achieving even more goals in 2022. So I was very excited to hear Anvesh's speech. I was like, amazing. It's just exactly what I thought about. So I have my sticky notes ready, have my, and I already have a spot. It's going to be on the wall where I'm literally going to put all my stickies. I'm going to have a backlog and everything that goes with it. I bought a cool book that I recommend to everyone. So I'm going to try to eat all the frogs that I don't like and I like, and to prioritize properly and achieve everything that I want to achieve, because I want to achieve a lot. It feels like 2020 was a wash. So it feels like I need to catch up work-wise and personal development-wise. I think this group is going to help me a lot, which it already did, but there's, sky's the limit here. And that's the plan. So Scrum it is. I'm going to have proper Scrum sprint plannings. And interestingly, I talked my husband into doing it with me. So we're going to keep each other accountable, and we'll see if we can do a stand-up every morning or every other morning. But so far, I'm very excited. And we're going to help each other achieve what we want to achieve in 2022. So I'll maybe someday share my findings and tell you if it works or not in one of my speeches. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Good luck, Elena. That's really interesting. And I would love to hear that, your retrospective speech on that. All right, so same question about your 2022 goals. Shruti, can you share?
Sure, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. So when you asked this question, I just went ahead and thought about it. I have been planning to set some time for me to think about it, but if I say more or less, it would drill down into couple of things. First is definitely health. We just moved countries last year, and my health has taken a backseat, so I would like to focus back on my health and work on the health implications that this move has got me into. Secondly, I would like to be more productive. I tend to so letting go of inertia is something that has been difficult in my life. So if I'm doing something, like if I'm working, I would be working 24/7, and I tend not to focus on other things. So I would like to be more productive, have a time blocks of work, family time and stuff. So that is something that I would like to work on. And third being what Lori also mentioned, I would like to write more stuff about the work that I have done, about things that I've learned in my career. So these are the 3 goals that I'm thinking about. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Shruti. Yeah, those are lofty goals and similar. The productivity one is definitely something I'm thinking about for 2022 as well. All right. So again, the question is, what's a personal professional goal you plan to work towards in 2022? Why that goal and how do you plan to achieve it? Minal, can you share?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, and thank you for calling on me. I think it's a great question. I'd like to start with my professional goal. As I have been mentioning, I guess, throughout this year, it's been a while, but I definitely am looking into transitioning into a product management role. And I'm hoping 2022 is the year for that. So it's been, I guess the most difficult part has been finding the time outside of work and outside of everything else to set it aside to go into the full interviewing and transitioning part of it. It's almost like a full-time job. I have taken steps this year, but I'm hoping that next year is the final year where I can make the full-on transition. And so I guess the indirect goal in that is learning how to manage my time better. And as a personal goal, I am hoping, this year I moved to California, and it's been a goal to at some point learn how to surf. And so I'm hoping that in 2022 I can do that. This year I've been focusing on learning how to swim. As crazy as that sounds, it hasn't materialized yet. So I have finally gotten to swimming 1 lap on my own. And I'm hoping I can, thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping I can push that further to being comfortable in the deep end and doing multiple laps so that I can finally learn how to surf. So thank you for the question. And I'd like to pass it back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Minal. Yeah, swimming is hard. I don't know if I even remember how to do it. It's been so long. So I don't think that's that unusual. Yeah, but those are bold, like surfing is a bold goal, at least from my perspective. So the next person I wanted to call on is Anwaisha. Can you tell us about your 2022 goals?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I think I mentioned a little bit about finding that time out of all the time that goes into that black box called the cell phone. Often you start out thinking that it's supposed to be educational. You're looking at stuff that you should be looking for, work or education, but I end up into the rabbit hole when it comes to that. And what I realized is it's taking away both professionally, the time for professional development, but also from personal time with the family. So that's definitely something I'd like to work on more. Second is health. It's like 2020, 2021 just made me sit there and become a potato in front of the computer. It's like I realized I put in 12 hours of work. If I was in the office, I would actually be walking around, going to people's desks. Even that has been taken away from me. So I need to be more proactive in terms of getting that back for myself. And third, professionally, I want to be a better product manager. And for that, I'm trying to expose myself and find out more of what's out there, especially around startup culture. I think I mentioned that I joined DAO. So I'm hoping to learn more about how the next version of product management and startup culture works out with the DAOs. So that's what I'm excited about. And my goal is to basically be able to identify that path for myself through that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Anwesha, for sharing more about your goals for 2020. So the next person, we have some more time. I was going to call on is Amelia. Can you tell us about your 2022 goals?
Hi, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for the question. I'm glad I'm getting an opportunity to reflect on my goals for the next year, since I haven't given myself that chance yet. I think on the personal front, fairly similar to Anwesha, I have a deep addiction to my phone and specifically the app TikTok, and would love to get some more time back and not spend as much time on TikTok for the next year, and hopefully devote some more time to reading and some more personal hobbies of mine instead of just digging deep into the phone. On the professional front, would also love to just spend more time reading about how to become a better product manager, hopefully start advocating for myself as I climb up into senior product management, hopefully. And so would really like to see myself getting very zealous about both those goals personally and professionally.
Thank you, Amelia. Yeah. I definitely, again, another person I relate to in terms of your goals, like getting better as a product manager feels like an ongoing goal that we all have. I think we have a little more time. So I'll ask Ashley if you could share some more about your 2022 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for calling on me, since we are talking about goals for 2022. So like a lot of you here, one of my professional development goals, and this is a long play goal that I have going on right now, but part of it is developing into becoming a product manager. And part of it is actually being in this group. So this is an ongoing goal in action at this moment. So thank you guys for helping me be a better speaker and just being a better person overall by being a part of these meetings and answering questions like this. My fun goal, though, it's also creative. I want to be a better baker. I have watched so many episodes of the British Bake Off. I love what they do. They're home cooks. If they can do it, I can do it. So my two goals are basically to keep plugging away at my product manager goal and also have some fun by being creative by learning to be a better baker. Thank you so much for the question. And I will turn that back over to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I like the idea of having a fun goal. For sure. I think so. The last person I'll call on to share about their 2022 goals is Jyothi.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. My goal, as I have already said, one is fitness. My second goal, professional goal, is to become a product leader, product industry leader by strengthening my leadership skills. My fun goal or my hobby goal is to learn how to scuba dive. I recently have been to Hawaii. I absolutely enjoy snorkeling and swimming with turtles and the aqua life there. I just wish I know scuba diving enough to go deeper into the sea. So before my next holiday, definitely would love to do scuba diving. And my last goal is I always enjoyed volunteering, irrespective of whichever country I lived in. I always volunteered, and there are causes that I very closely connect with: education and women empowerment. or getting back women into workforce after their break, like maternity leave or career breaks. I'm very passionate about that and have always volunteered. Because of having a little kid and with my job, I never had time in the past couple of years. Would love to get back into volunteering and contribute to the society, which also helps me learn. So these are my 4 goals for 2022.
Thank you very much for sharing more about your 2022 goals. Thank you, everyone. I think I called out everyone. I think just about almost everyone shared their goals. So I really appreciate that. And it's so exciting to hear how just zealous everyone is about having goals and thinking about how to improve themselves and their lives. And don't forget to vote on the best goal speech and send your votes to Tanya. Thank you. And I'll pass it to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. That was such an amazing table topics round. It just made us think on our feet and also reflect on our goals for 2022. So two goals achieved in one. Moving on, we'll move on to our third portion and final portion of our meeting today, the evaluation round. Minal Patel, who is our general evaluator today, I would like to invite Minal to take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. To kick off our evaluations for today, I would like to introduce Olena Krotenko, who will be giving an evaluation for Ashley's speech today. Olena, can you please give us your evaluation?
Sure. Thank you, Ashley, for a wonderful speech. And good job on achieving that 10K. I mean, I'm not a runner. I always admire people who can do it and who can commit to that with all the difficulties and the rain out there. And anyway, I'm just amazed by that. And big kudos to you for not reading. I could tell that you're not reading from somewhere, you're not peeking anywhere. So it was your speech. So you talked about it, it felt very genuine. So keep doing that. I think it really helps the audience engage. We don't see you like reading, anyway, you're just looking straight at the camera. That was great. Because your main goal for the speech, as far as I understand, is engagement and vocal variety. I'm going to concentrate on that bit and give you feedback on that. I really enjoyed that you weaved your personal story into the speech. It's always great for storytelling. We can agree with that. And I could really envision your mother telling you like, this too shall pass, and you just going on a run. It was great. Really, that visuals helped me a lot to stay engaged. A couple of suggestions that I have. I think if you want to engage with the audience, one of the techniques that you may consider is asking questions. Sometimes you can simply ask, what do you think happened next? And then the audience is like, okay, now I got to listen, or here's an important thing. And then you kind of continue. So some little bits and pieces where you can help us sort of re-engage, that's something to consider. And again, questions is just one of the techniques. Another suggestion is, because as far as I understand, you were not reading, I think you were a bit nervous. And I feel this is why you spoke a little too fast. Again, for me, it was perfect because I can talk fast quite often, but we're all different. And I think sometimes people need a pause or a slower pace in order to make sure they kind of grasp all the information and they really can understand and take in everything that you're saying. I feel like if you just talk a little slower and also embed some pauses in your speech, it will give the audience an opportunity to fully absorb what you're saying and stay even more engaged with your speech. So those are the main 2 suggestions that I have. Otherwise, I really liked the information. I really liked your conclusion that you pointed out, the 3 main takeaways, the plan, stay on track and check in. That was great with the examples as well. So that was fantastic. So there's always room for improvement. So keep up the good work. And if you need more feedback, I can DM you. How about that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Lena.
cool. Okay, thank you for your speech. I really enjoyed it. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Olena. Next, we have, I would like to introduce Amulya Gandekonda, who will be giving an evaluation for Jyothi's speech today. Amulya, can you please give us your evaluation?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Jyothi, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your icebreaker speech. Your first speech was absolutely fantastic, and it was such a joy to hear you present your goal for 2022. I thought specifically you had a fantastic introduction. I really loved hearing you narrate your story and painting a very vivid picture of you going up this flight of stairs and making that journey to work. I really enjoyed hearing that and just loved hearing you paint that picture. Was really fascinating. I thought you had a very clear structure to your speech, which, having given an icebreaker recently, I've found that to be a specifically difficult journey. And so you really had a great structure to your overall speech. Felt like I did learn a lot of interesting things about you, since this is the first time we're all hearing you speak. And so it was great to hear more about your family, and your overall personality really was able to come out through your speech. And also loved how you were able to weave in some interactive elements and really was able to ask the audience questions and really just keep everyone so engaged. So really loved all of those aspects. In terms of potential areas of improvement, would love to maybe see a little bit more vocal variety or cadence in your next speech, which I actually saw come through when you answered a question. And so I think you naturally have it. And so maybe just blending some of those elements in your next speech would be really fantastic as well. And then if you would like to, additionally challenge yourself, maybe adding in some quotes or data points, maybe some references that we can go off of if we wanted to research anything after hearing your speech would also be fantastic. But overall, really, really enjoyed your first speech and looking forward to hearing you speak again.
Thank you, Amulya, for that feedback. And next, I'd like to introduce Sarah Gagnon, who will be giving an evaluation for Anvesha's speech today. Sarah, could you please give us your evaluation?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and most especially Anvesha. Anvesha, I love your starting of the speech. You already brought humor into it by being on your phone and pretending that you were really absorbed in a conversation and you were not paying even attention, which was the point of your whole speech. I thought I loved your humor and how you just started right off on that. You also have a conversational tone, just in general, the way you speak. So that was fantastic. And your energy level, you maintained it throughout the entire speech, which was phenomenal. Your gestures, I could tell you're very zealous, and it came out through your gestures. The only thing that I did see on that is your virtual background seemed to swallow you up. So as you were moving around on the screen, your hands were starting to disappear and part of your face was disappearing for me. So that is just something that you might want to keep in consideration for the future, because it did seem uncontrolled. And I know that it wasn't really you. It was probably more on the technology side. I noticed that I did hear you a little bit out of breath, and I think that was due in part to just you were so excited and you had 4 points that you wanted to bring up and you wanted to get it done. And so my suggestion to you would be just to slow down a bit, take a few breaths, and perhaps instead of having 4, subject points, maybe bring them down to 2. So the first one that you had was your cell phone usage before bedtime. Maybe keep that one, and maybe the time boxing that you had mentioned. That way you could actually dig a little deeper on either of those topics, even going down into a product that you love that you had mentioned during the Q&A about the Alexa thing. That gives us a little bit more meat to those, to one of those 2 points. You also mentioned the Agile Scrum framework, which, as Alina had mentioned, that was really exciting to hear that. I'm also wondering, though, for our audience members who may not be that familiar with SDLC, the software development lifecycle, maybe give a little bit of an intro of what the Agile Scrum framework is. You demonstrated it beautifully by taking each point and addressing it in your speech, but I just thought maybe a little a snippet on the beginning of what those different steps are might give a little bit of light before you kind of dug into that section of it. I would also say at the very end, you brought in Web 3.0 and volunteering for cryptocurrency as a volunteer at the DAO. I was following you really well. And then at the very end, you brought that in, and it kind of made me do a little bit of a head turn, only because I wanted to learn more about that. And I felt like you brought it in and then you cut it off. And I was like, no, I want to know more about this. So I probably in the future, if you were to do the speech again, maybe leave that part out for a future speech. Again, I really enjoyed this speech and you did a phenomenal job. I wasn't sure if there were any aspects that you wanted me to focus on specifically, but in general, fantastic. And I look forward to your next speeches, Amisha. Thanks very much, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sarah, for that evaluation. Next, I would like to introduce Lori Edwards, who will be giving today's Grammarian report. Lori, could you please give us your report?
Yes, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. So today, even though we had a small group, it was very impactful. We had 4 people that I counted use the word of the day. Anwaisha, Amelia, Marguerite, and Sarah. Awesome job folding that in to your parts. As for quotes, lots of great quotes today. I had to like write them all down because I just wanted to keep them. First off, Jyothi, I loved that quote that you gave us. I'm gonna look that up because it just like hit home and resonated with me tremendously. It was too long for me to write it all down, but I will be looking it up after this. Also, you said in your speech that you shared your goals with your friends and family to help hold you accountable, so you can make continuous improvements. That stood out to me too. That's a great pro tip to have. Additionally, Ashley, in your speech, you provided some great visualizations by saying that you would fall off the bandwagon and into the ditch. Like we commonly hear that, yeah, you're on the bandwagon. So it was great to hear like the reverse of that. And then you added even more onto it so we could completely relate to like, oh yeah, I've totally done that. And then you just keep following like even worse. So that was awesome and really stood out to me. Additionally, you also said embedded milestones, which is, common phrase, but in the context of goal setting, that stood out to me as something like, oh yeah, that's a really great way to like embed your milestones as you go. So great context, adding that in for us. Shruti, when we started off, you also said AI-based feelings goals, and that just made me laugh. As like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like AI just changes as you change. It's like, no, you don't want to, if you're doing bad things, you don't want to do that. So that was really funny to me, and I enjoyed that twist on a little bit of humor. For Anwaisha, I also wrote down on your side, you mentioned having more visualizations of where you stand. That was cool to hear, is like, because usually when we write our goals down, we just write them down, but having that context of adding the visualization around you of where you're currently at was great to have stand out to us. So with that, that is my grammarian report for the day. Awesome speeches, everyone. It was very inspiring. I'm very zealous.
Thank you, Lori, for the report. Next, I'd like to introduce Tanya Sudolink, who will be giving today's timer report. Tanya, can you please give us your report?
I sure can. Thank you. On the speeches, Ashley's standard speech came in a little over at 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Jyothi, 5 minutes and 7 seconds for her icebreaker, which is right on target. And Anwisha, 6 minutes and 8 seconds on target as well. I know I wasn't supposed to really time the Q&A, but I do want to make an observation that I think it was a good, I think 2.5 minutes is a good amount of time. We were able to get 2 questions in per person. And the only one that went over was like 2 minutes and 51 seconds on Ashley. So I think that was a good decision. Executives, good job. On the table topics, everybody was it within the 1 to 2 minutes, except for 2. So Sarah, you were 3 seconds over, no big deal. Ashley, you were 2 seconds under at 58 seconds. While I'm doing that, the votes, I might as well just do the votes, right? Because I was tallying those as well. We have for the table topics winner, I have a tie between Minal and Ashley. Good job. All right, on the evaluations, Elena, so just so everybody knows, the evaluations are up to 3.5 minutes. We've now changed that. We mentioned that at the beginning. So Elena, yours was at, you came in at 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Amelia at 2 minutes and 1 second, and Sarah at 3 minutes and 48 seconds. So just a bit over. I didn't get a chance to tell you guys about my goals, so I will do that now that all my work is done. And we have a couple minutes. So I have a personal goal. My husband and I really want us to become a pickleball team. So I've asked Santa for a pickleball set for us. And then on a professional goal, I what's the word I'm looking for? Not resonate, but a lot of your goals resonate with mine. Like I want to learn how to write content. I think like you, Lori, I have a lot of different experiences but it's like putting yourself out there and writing that content and have it be out there forever is really it's really kind of scary. So I have to get over that. But one thing I really want to do is a professional organization that I'm a member of is the Women in Cable and Telecommunications, and I'm a member of it, and I read the emails but I don't do anything with it. So next year I really want to attend things and make connections and do the networking events, and not just yeah, I'm a member and my company pays for it, but I really want to take advantage of the more women. This one has been amazing. So I want to take that a step further and do the cable and like the one that's particular to my industry and not just product management. It's just women in general. Sorry, there you go. I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya, for a great report. And so now that brings me to my report as a general evaluator. To start off with, I just wanted to say everyone did a wonderful job today, and I loved how zealous everyone was today. And despite the last minute cancellations, Madam Toastmaster managed making sure the meeting went smoothly, and it was great to see fellow Toastmasters stepping in to fill in the needed roles. And especially a shout out to Lori and Tanya for taking on 2 roles today. The transitions between roles was handled well, I thought, and everyone did a really good job introducing the roles today. Everyone was prepared for the meeting, and I believe it was started in a timely manner. Madam Toastmaster did a great job introducing all the roles for the meeting and also introducing the topic of the day today. As we have a smaller group today, it is understandable that we were early on time today, I believe, for about half of the meeting. However, it was beneficial because it left room for more table topics discussion. And Madam Table Topics Master did a great job filling in that extra time. and allowing us to reflect on our goals today as we approach the new year. One area of improvement I feel would be beneficial for the team would be to maybe better define role introductions and responsibilities in the agenda. The way I think the agenda is set up, it was a little confusing to me on who was responsible for introducing what roles. Mainly, I think the confusion is between the Toastmaster and the General Evaluator. So another suggestion along the same lines is it would be if the agenda reflected who's introducing what better, and it would make it would, and if we were to follow the agenda more closely, I think it would be less confusing. And also I believe maybe today the Grammarian was introduced twice and out of order, partially my fault. But I think I do see in the agenda that the Toastmaster is supposed to introduce the Grammarian, but in my evaluation forms, I think the General Evaluator is supposed to introduce the Grammarian. So maybe if the discrepancies between the agenda and the meeting role descriptions were to be fixed, maybe that could help also. But overall, I think we all did like a really great job today, making this a successful meeting. Everyone's energy level was great, and we had a great set of questions post speeches, as well as during table topics. And with that, I'd like to end our evaluation reports. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Minal, for that amazing evaluation, and we can reflect on what you talked about today, the feedback that you provided, and make sure that we make incremental changes and improvements to the agenda and the structure. So what an amazing session with amazing speeches and evaluation. Let's use all the learnings from today and rock our 2022 goals. So with this, I would like to hand this over to Laurie, our VP, for taking it forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Rudy. Great job on being the Toastmaster today. Today was definitely challenging with people backing out and it just being the holidays. For me, for the VPE role, like I mentioned earlier, we do not have a meeting on January 2nd. Our next meeting will be January, let me make sure I tell you the right date, 16th. So I will send out the meeting roles when we get into January, so no one has to worry about them or forget about them over the holidays. You should definitely use this time to decompress with your families and everything like that. Also, for anyone that has 2022 goals, we are a group of women that can help each other. So please reach out to your fellow Toastmasters. If you have questions or things you don't know about, we all would love to help you, especially if you're moving into product management. What a better group to help you move into product management. So seriously, take advantage of our community and, you know, help each other out. If you have questions, ask, people know. Also, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. I think that's all we got. So as your Sergeant of Arms, I can adjourn us so we can all get some time back in our lives. Have a great rest of your holiday and we'll see you in January. Bye,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.